Alright, I think we're live, guys. Welcome to the stream. Let me just check one thing to make sure this is all going right. And what we're going to be doing today, guys, is we're going to be doing the Champions League. I was going to say Champions League. Championship predictions live. Hopefully, you guys think this is cool. I don't really know. Got a message there on my phone. Alright, gotta get on my phone and see if the stream is actually working. I'm kind of new at this. Don't really know how it works exactly, so we will check it out. Welcome to the stream if you guys are joining. Okay. Marshall Hoffenheim career mode. Search Marshall Hoffen. It should come up. No, it doesn't. Okay. Maybe that'll fix it. Yeah, there we go. Alright, looks like we are live. That is... I gotta say, guys, I think that's the best thumbnail I've ever made. I quite like that. Let's just hear what this says. Okay, that's really nice. It's only like about 10 seconds delayed, which is perfect. I love to see that. Alright, so let's get going here with our championship predictions. So what I've got to do, real quick, I should have done this before, but I was just rushing to get to the deadline that I set to start this live stream. We have to switch out the teams that got relegated, so we will swap you, Hull City, with our good friends, Huddersfield, or... right? And let's see, we will swap Middlesbrough. Whoops, no, we don't want to do a group with Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough will swap with Huddersfield. That is good. And lastly, Sunderland will be swapping with Newcastle United, arch rivals. Then we need to go down into League One, swap Bolton for Blackburn. It's a really shame they got relegated. I'm going to do a career run with Blackburn next year, I've decided. Not really sure. I'm kind of thinking about going back on saying I'm doing Chelsea first because I think I want to do Blackburn first. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let's see who else got relegated. Rotherham got relegated. That was pretty embarrassing. One of the worst campaigns in a long time I've seen from a club. And Wigan got relegated. That's a shame. Wigan used to be a good team a couple years ago, winning the FA Cup under Roberto Martinez, but now they're not. So let's get into the way with our predictions, and we're going to start off with my bottom place team for the 2017-18 EFL Championship, and it is going to be Nottingham Forest. They're not that good. They barely escaped relegation last year. And frankly, I can't see them doing any better. They sold Bressan Blanca to Boro, and they are not really buying in anybody good. It just seemed like a mess, and a very historical club. It's a shame to see them go down, but we're seeing it happen so often, you know, with Blackburn, and, you know, Sheffield United bouncing around divisions, Sheffield Wednesday stuck in the championship, so it's a shame to see all these historical clubs kind of going away, but, you know, they're getting replaced, and I'm fine. I'm fine with that, because, you know, I wasn't around when Nottingham Forest was good, but I was around for when Huddersfield got promoted to the Premier League, so that's... yay, I get to tell my grandchildren about Huddersfield if they're already... yay, okay. Moving on, that was pretty awkward. Hopefully the rest of the video isn't as awkward. Make sure to subscribe if you want more awkward commentary. Next up, second relegation, it's Burton Albion. They get memed on so much. Sunderland, enjoy your away days at Burton Albion. Oh, Newcastle, enjoy away days at Burton Albion. Everybody just takes it out of Burton Albion, but they're not very good. I think they belong in the League One and League Two. Surprisingly, actually, they didn't get relegated last year. I was kind of surprised about that. They weren't even one of the teams in contention for relegation, so good for them last season. But I do think this year they will be going straight back down. And the last relegation spot, this might make some people kind of feel a little odd because I'm not going to pick one of the newly promoted sides. I'm going to be going with Preston North End, and the reason for this is they got rid of their manager, and their team is really not good at all. Like, it's not good. You can look at their players, and I challenge you to find one of them that you've heard of if you're a Premier League fan. Gidi was on loan there last season, I think, but he's gone now. So they're not that good a side, and their manager, he's all right, but he's good enough to keep him in the championship. But I'm not sure if any just Joe on the street comes along and takes the Preston job. I'm not sure who it is. Let me look it up real quick. Like I said, I'm not too familiar with the championship, just because it's so hard to get it in the United States. Like, we get Alex Neil. So, I mean, yeah, fired Norwich manager, right? Yeah. So I don't think he's going to be able to keep Preston North End up. I don't think Alex Neil is that good manager, actually. Let me check out his career. I'm sorry, I should have been more prepared for this, but I think it's kind of fun for me to like look around Wikipedia and see what these guys have done. You just learn a lot of stuff from doing that. So let's see. Yeah, he's managed Hamilton Academical. What does that even mean? Then he's gone for Norwich City for 2 years, and now he's at Preston North End. And Norwich City, basically, he got a promotion and a relegation with a decent side. So I don't think he's that good a manager. Kind of young, and he was fired at Norwich, and I don't think he'll be able to keep Preston North End in the division. And so those are my 3 teams to get relegated: Preston North End, Burton Albion, and Nottingham Forest. Let's move on to just outside the relegation zone, and it goes much quicker from here, probably on out. Sheffield United, 1 spot above the relegation zone. I do think that they'll be able to stay up. I think they have kind of the belief of a newly promoted side, and I think they'll do just fine in the championship this year. Next up, we have a team that did really well last season, confounded everyone by not getting relegated. It's Barnsley. I'm sure they'll stay in the division just above the relegation zone. And again, none of these teams are too exciting. Next up, we've got Bristol City. They're not particularly exciting either, unless you're a Bristol City fan. You'd probably have to agree that they're not that exciting. So Bristol City, slightly above the relegation zone. And another newly promoted side via the the League One playoffs, it's Millwall, and I think they can have a pretty good season. They're kind of experienced here. I don't think they'll go straight back down, because I think that they have kind of a Millwall spirit, I guess. I hate Millwall. They beat, obviously, Scunthorpe United in the, was it semifinal? I think it was the semifinals. And obviously, I kind of like Scunthorpe United. They're like my 5th favorite team or something. Well, 4th if we're counting clubs, whatever. But I don't really like Millwall. Nobody likes Millwall except for Millwall people. Let's just move on with Millwall. Nobody wants to talk about Millwall. Next up, it's QPR. I'm worried about them. Ian Holloway. I don't think he's that good a manager, to be honest with you. A lot of people think he's like alright. Did well with Blackpool a few years back. Well, not really. Did fine. But you know, QPR, they don't have that good a side anymore. You know, and the thing, like, they were in the Premier League like just like 3 years ago. 3 years? What was 2? No, it's 3. Kind of almost 2. 2.5. Whatever. I'm not good at this. Please subscribe anyway. QPR, they're not that good a side, honestly. I mean, everybody thinks, like, you know, oh, they'll be fine, you know, because they were in the Premier League, they're a London side, but they're really not that good. They don't have that many good players in there. They have, like, what, Junior Hoylett, the Canadian? I can't think of any QPR players. Like I said, my championship knowledge is limited. Let me see. Where are they? All right. Queen's Park Rangers are, let me see, they finished 18th last season, and they don't have that good team. Neda Manuha, the captain, center back, Stephen Cocker, who's been having some problems, so good luck to him on solving them. It was a very interesting article. Petrasso, you know, they just don't have that good a team. I was right here. I haven't really heard of half these players. Connor Washington, you know, none of them are that good. And so, you know, it's possible they could even get relegated, to be honest with you. I just don't think that they're that good, and I don't think Ian Holloway is that good a manager. So let's move on. One up, and we've got Harry Redknapp's Birmingham. And apparently he's trying to buy LA Galaxy, I guess. That's what I heard. Ashley Cole will probably end up at Birmingham. And, You know, I think that they're not that good a team, but I think under Harry Redknapp, who's like, well, some people, mixed feelings towards Harry Redknapp. I think he's kind of like a second-string Sam Allardyce. I don't know if you guys all agree with me on that, but I think the teams that I put below Birmingham are significantly worse than Birmingham. They shouldn't be worried, even though they have dodgy ownership. And let's move on to above them. So I think we've gone out of the way most of the pretty poor teams, and we can start getting into the upper half. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 2 more teams in the bottom half of the table, and it's they're both not that exciting. Ipswich Town, they're not that good a team. They're solid, fine in the championship, and one above them is newly promoted Bolton Wanderers, and I think we could be seeing a slow but gradual return for the Bolton Wanderers. Let me know what you guys think about that. I've always kind of had a soft spot for Bolton, but I don't care about them that much. And now let's move on into the top half of the table, I believe. Or no, last bottom half one. It's Brentford, right next to Bolton. I do think, actually, Brentford are a decent side, and they could be making some forward strides here. I think this season will really tell. They could either, you know, just finish mid-table, or they could really go up, you know, because they do have the potential to be able to rise up with the team they've got being kind of in London. Well, they are in London. Yeah, Brentford in the last bottom spot. I don't have numbers here. I should have put numbers next to the things. Now, this is really the only upset I've had. Let me answer my phone. This is kind of awkward. I wish you guys could have heard that. So, you know how those telemarketers call all the time? You know what, I'm going to create a highlight of this right now. 1 second. Welcome to the stream, if you are here. Okay, whatever, I'll do that later. But I was on the phone. This guy called, and he was, wanting the VA, and, like, he kept talking over me. I coughed, and I, like, started snapping and stuff, and so I thought he was, like, an automated message or something, because, like, they have, like, these things where, like, they call, and they, like, the person pretends to, like, drop their headset, so you think it's, like, a real person. But, so they called, and, I started, like, coughing, and then I started talking about, asked him, I was like, okay, are you an automated message? And I was about to, like, get really angry at him. I was like, okay, I'm really busy right now. But then, like, he started talking to me. He's like, well, no, sir, everyone's very busy, but the Veterans of America need your help. I was like, oh, God. We might have to donate to them. I don't really know. Okay, sorry about that interruption. Oh, I feel bad about that. Okay. Oh, Lord. Now my home phone's getting a call. Oh, no, it's the same number. Oh, shit. Okay, 1 second. That's kind of... So, that was the credit card company, and they're shutting off the credit card. Lovely. Alright, let's move on. Let's actually get into the video and stop being interrupted by all these phone calls. Not gonna lie, that's probably the highlight of the stream. Okay, moving on. I think this is 11th. Let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 11. So the first top half team, and it's going to be a bit of an upset, I think. I think a lot of people expect these people to be normally in the championship, but I'm going with a bit of a decline this year. It's going to be Sheffield Wednesday, and, you know, they're a solid team in the championship, but, you know, you look at them, they always get defeated in the playoffs for, like, the past, like, 4 years now, I think it is. So I'm going to say this year they don't have a good year. Maybe they struggle at the beginning, their manager gets fired or something, and then they get into the middle of the table. But I just can't see that good a season for Sheffield Wednesday. But, you know, having said that, they have basically the same players they've had for the whole time. They could just get into the playoffs again and lose. I can't see them getting promoted because their team isn't that good, but then again, nobody saw Huddersfield getting promoted, so who knows? Sheffield Wednesday in the Premier League? Let me know what you guys think about that. Or do you think I'm right in predicting a mid-table finish? Let me know in the comments. Next up, we've got Cardiff, recently in the Premier League. Kind of dodgy ownership. They would be a fun team to do a career mode with, actually. But Cardiff City, I've got them in 10th place. I think they're a decent side. They could be challenging for promotion here in a little while, but I don't think they're going to be getting it this season. I think there's just a few teams that are better than them. Now moving on, we've got a team that I think has done the second best transfer business in the championship. It is Wolverhampton Wanderers, the Wolves. Got them in 9th place. They have signed some incredible players. I can't remember what his name was. What was his name? Some center back from like transfer news. Okay, let's see. Leo Bonatini. That was a good signing. Wow, is that? Wait. Yeah, they signed Diego Jota 1 month on a 1 month loan. John Ruddy, Ruben Neves. That's who it was. Yeah, Ruben Neves. That's such a good signing from the Wolves. Like that's good. Barry Douglas. Yeah, I think Ruben Neves is like a huge signing for Wolves. And Jota, they could really get promoted actually, as far as I know, because we saw Huddersfield get promoted with like a team of mostly like loaned out players from Premier League clubs. So I mean, but that was kind of special case because of the team spirit there. I'm not sure if Wolves will have that. I don't think they'll get promoted, but I think they'll be in and around promotion spots for the entirety of the season. Moving up on a team that narrowly missed out on promotion last year, it is Chris Wood's Leeds United in, what is that, 8th place? I think, yeah. Leeds United in 8th place. Chris Wood is on fire. But I don't think they're just not quite good enough to get playoffs. But I think they'll be up there, just like Wolves. They'll be up there. They'll be in and around the whole season, but I can't see them getting into one of the top 6 spots. And in 7th, the worst place to finish in the championship. Well, depending on who you are. But for this team, it is by far the worst place to finish. Well, not, okay. Any place below 7th. What? You know what? Stop, okay? Stop judging me. Okay, Sunderland in 7th place. Nigel Grayson. Is that their manager's name? I think it is. The former Preston North End boss. Oh, Simon Grayson. Sorry. Nigel Pearson, Simon Grayson. I probably got that confused. Simon Grayson, former Preston North End manager. I don't think he's that special a guy. Like he knows the championship really well, and for that reason, I think he can get Sunderland this high. But even putting Sunderland this high is kind of a risk. They have like no players of quality. Like if I look at the squads of like Wolves and Leeds and Cardiff and Sheffield Wednesday, they're all better than Sunderland. Like Sunderland do not have that good a team, and putting them in 7th was a big risk here. I'm not even sure they'll finish this high. If they finish in the top half, I think that's good from Sunderland. They have some serious rebuilding to do down at the Stadium of Light, or up the Stadium of Light, because to the north. Then now we're getting into the exciting. But wait, I'm off by 1. Damn it. I can't count. Okay, apparently Sunderland's 8th. Did I write a team twice? That would be super embarrassing if I wrote a team twice. I don't think I did. Did I write Burton with? No. There's just a ton of teams that start with B in the championship. Like Brentford, Bolton, Birmingham, Bristol, Barnsley, Burton. Borough, if you count them. Anyway, now we're actually in the 7th place. I don't know how I got off on counting. That's pretty embarrassing. But in 7th place, it's Derby County. They have an acceptable team. Not that good. Derby County, they got a playoff spot 2 years ago, and then this year they kind of didn't really have a good season because of good old Stevie McLaren. What a terrible manager he is. Why does he still get jobs? Like, whatever. Derby County have a decent team. They've lost 2 key players, though, Tom Ince and Will Hughes, to Premier League sides. And I do think that Derby still have an acceptable team. Like I said, it's fine. It's better than most other championship teams, and I think they could get into 7th place. They could get a playoff spot, but I think they're just not quite as good as the 4 teams that I put in the playoff spots. And let's move on to them right now. In 6th place, it is going to be the playoff final losers from last season, Reading. They're just a strong team. They belong in the upper divisions right now, and if they make a few more signings maybe and just get it together just a little bit, I think they could be promoted. Whoa, holy crap, my voice just cracked. I think they could be promoted next year. But I'm not really sure because they don't, like, if you look at them on paper, their team's not that great. Like, Jan Kermergrant's not that good. You know, their best player is like Jordan Abida. They lost their best player, which in my opinion was their keeper, Ali Al-Habsi, to Al Hilal, I think it was. So, but he was good. I think Reading they're just a good side. You know, they just link well together. You know what I mean? And I think they'll probably get into a playoff spot again this season. Moving on to 5th, it is my current career mode team that I'm probably never going to record another episode on. Sorry if you guys wanted that. I'm not very good at scrolling. Fulham, I think they'll get into 5th. They got into 6th. Surprisingly, they got a playoff spot last season. That was pretty good. That was pretty impressive. Fulham, you know, they're a good side, and I think if they sign, they've been linked to Diego Roland all summer. I don't know if anything has happened there. Let me just check on that real quick. Diego Roland would be an incredible signing. Let's see, they loaned in Oliver Norwood, Tomas Kalas, and Lucas Piazon again. They've transferred in Camara, Ibrahim Cisse, and Marcelo Tejalo. I think that's a pretty decent transfer window. Let's see. They did sell Holzbed. So yeah, and they lost Scott Malone, who was a big player for them. But other than that, I think they've had a pretty free summer. They haven't really done too much yet. Camara is probably going to be a decent signing for them. Cisse, not really too sure about them. Oliver Norwood is a quality championship player. And yeah, I think Fulham will have a good season. I think they can get into the championship or the playoff spots pretty easily. They're pretty solid. Slaviša Jokanovic is a good manager. And yeah, I really miss Craven Cottage in the Premier League. I hope that they get promoted this season, but I don't think that they will be getting it via the playoffs. I think that will probably either go to the 4th or 3rd place team that I put in. In 4th place, it's Hull City. They barely went down last season. Like, it was so close. They just screwed up on the last day against yours truly, Sunderland. Hull City, they still have an okay squad, but they're going to have to rebuild. They have a new manager, a new style of play, and for all we know, they could be getting kind of a Sheffield Wednesday Sunderland effect where they just don't do well in the playoffs, but I think that they'll do fine. They've got a bunch of Chelsea players on loan this season. Leonard Slutsky, which is like the worst name ever. Slutsky as the last name. That's awful. But Hull City, I got them in 4th. I think they're an okay team. I don't know if they're going to get into the Premier League, though. I think, in my opinion, the 3rd place team will win the playoffs, but you never know with the playoffs. It's really a lottery. In 3rd place, I've got Norwich, and they're kind of... I feel Norwich are the new West Brom. You know what I mean? Like, nobody really cares about Norwich, except for Norwich fans, and nobody really hates Norwich, except for Ipswich fans. So, you know, really, it's just... They didn't have a good year last year. Alex Neil's not the best manager. I feel whenever you get relegated, you should sack a manager unless you just hired them, like, when you're basically doomed to relegation. Kind of like Marco Silva with Hull, but he just decided to leave. I feel like you should always fire a manager that gets you relegated. Like, I don't know. But Norwich they still have a decent side, you know. They got themselves to the Premier League. And I think they're better than most championship sides because they do have that Premier League experience in their team. and I think they're going to get third. And I do think the Canaries will be in the Premier League next season, but I do think that it's most likely that the Canaries or Hull will get promoted, just because they've been in this situation, like, recently. Like, you know, this is what they do, kind of. It's bouncing. Hull City have been up and down every single year. Norwich have been up and down every single year. And now to the automatic 2 spots. You know who they are at this point. It is Middlesbrough and Aston Villa. And in second place, I'm going for Middlesbrough. They've signed some really incredible players. Where were these guys last season? You know, where was Martin Braithwaite and Britt Assombalonga last season? They could have kept Middlesbrough in the Premier League. You sign those 2 in January, you're good to go. You finish in, like, 13th place, comfortably above the relegation zone. Leave both Hull and Swansea to get relegated. You know what? That's fine. But Middlesbrough, they just screwed up last year. I heard that they fired their transfer executive or whoever's in charge of transfers. They got somebody competent in there. And I think Middlesbrough will just come straight back up. Only team to do that. Maybe, I'm not really sure. Martin Braithwaite is just going to kill it in the championship. He is such a good player. Middlesbrough fans, you should be excited. And also Britt Assombalonga. He's a good player as well. He's struggling Nottingham Forest side, but he's a really good player. I rate him quite highly. And, you know, they still have a lot of the players that did him pretty well. They still have Ben Gibson, you know, so... But do they still have... Did Everton sign Ben Gibson? I can't remember. Let's look this up. Ben Gibson. They still have a lot of good players. They only lost, like, a couple. Oh, yeah, Ben Gibson signed for West Brom. That's right. Wait, did he? I'm pretty sure he signed for West Brom, didn't he? I guess he did. But they have like a few, like, they have like most of their players from last season, and you know they can go straight back up. Yeah. West Brom. Got sold to West Brom. The Wikipedia page is not very good. I might edit that myself. That's bad. Why am I not on the team that we're talking about right now? Middlesbrough. How did I get to Sheffield Wednesday? Middlesbrough are the next team, and I think they'll do pretty well in the championship. Yeah, Middlesbrough in second place, and that leaves the winners of the championship. Aston Villa. They had a horrible year 2 years ago. Then they had a horrible year in the championship, but now they've made some good signings. They've got JT in, telephone again, but they're going to win the championship. Thank you guys for watching this live stream. I'll see you all again next time. Goodbye.